On this week's LoyalTV, we are in Oklahoma City, where we invite you to snap your fingers along to a rhythm that is more common to Oklahoma than you might think.
Probably most people don't really think of Oklahoma City as a jazz city, which is a little bit bizarre because there have been so many major jazz musicians who have come from here and really kind of changed the game, not just for jazz, but for music.
For example, Charlie Christian, who was born in Texas but educated at Douglas High School, was the first person to master the electric guitar when it was a brand new invention. Oklahoma City was basically marketed as a promised land, and so I think culturally that just kind of created an atmosphere of vitality.
That legacy still exists, and it's happening right now. So I don't want people to just sort of romanticize music history in Oklahoma, but be excited about what's happening right now, because there's just tons of crazy good musicians doing stuff. Jazz, in a sense, is the backbone of a music scene. Jazz musicians are just really versatile, really competent players. So for other genres of music, when you get the singer-songwriter or the rapper or the dynamic frontman who wants to put together a great project, they have an awesome pool of musicians to pull from when you have a really strong jazz scene.
Christian Pearson found out about us from the Prohibition Room, the Gold Dome in Oklahoma City that was years and years ago, of course. I was totally down for somebody coming in and answering the long-standing problem in Oklahoma City of having all these musicians with all this talent, but no infrastructure in place to support it.
And what makes a strong jazz scene is just a progression from being a student, to going to jams and learning from your mentors, to booking your first real shows, to playing sort of higher-end shows, and then to playing maybe mid-sized venues or going on tour. When we fill out that spectrum, we're gonna start cranking out even more great jazz musicians than we used to have, and that's not only gonna benefit jazz, it's gonna benefit every genre out there. Every first Thursday, we really highlight a new feature artist from the community. The other Thursdays, we tend to have just combos, bands, and it's usually local people, but there've been a few times we've had headliners from Denton, Texas, from New York City. We try every now and then use our connections to get some out-of-town acts through here, too.
It feels electric every time I step on the bandstand, and when I used to play at Urban Roots, you can really feel the energy and the intensity. It's like, man, Count Basie was here. Charlie Christian was in this room, you know, they were in there sweating together, and that does something to a place. And now we do the Jazz Jam at Ice Event Center, and I'm learning now that that was another spot that is long-standing and has had a lot of history, and they've started telling me some of the people who came through, Cannonball Adderley, and all sorts of people.
Deep Deuce obviously is a really historic music district. That's where Charlie Christian really sort of cut his teeth before he went out and made a big impact outside of Oklahoma. And we found a good opportunity, once we had a little reputation from Saint Sessions, to partner with some local businesses and people in Deep Deuce to put on Deep Deuce Sessions, which is essentially a mini music festival that we put on once a month for 12 months. Now we're on break, and we'll be bringing it back next year. And that was a chance for us to kind of take this small, humble, but really cool thing that we did and turn it into something bigger, and to move from just jazz to being multiple genres, R&B and hip hop and rock and singer-songwriters and even some country. So we really try to make it be very diverse and start kind of establishing ourselves as someone who can tell you about all kinds of music, not just jazz.
When I consider the fact that through OK Sessions and Saint Sessions, now Deep Deuce Sessions has kind of brought music back to the Deep Deuce, it makes me proud, and it also reminds me of a legendary Oklahoma City musician named Doughbelly, Kaya Fletcher, who used to own Urban Roots. She would always say, Doughbelly said they would be back. Someday they'd be back on the Deuce playing the blues and jazz again.
As the sounds of jazz continue to bring communities together, we will continue to bring you the best Oklahoma stories you've never heard here on LoyalTV.